Hello there, I'm Lloyd from the Theal Wellbeing Centre. We have a condition that we see an awful lot in the podiatry clinics that is sometimes ignored by our patients, and that's fungal infection. The times when it can't be ignored is when it's dangerous because the fungus in the skin is causing it to split, which can become infected and very painful, or it's become embarrassing, or it's just becoming irritating, and one of the first signs that you will get is like an itchiness on the skin. So if those are happening, you can't really ignore it, and you shouldn't really ignore it for reasons I will go into in a moment. The way it presents is usually that people will either have fungus on their skin, which is often called athlete's foot, or onychomycosis, which is the fungal nail in the nail itself, or a combination of the two. So I'd like to look at each of those in turn. So looking at athlete's foot, first of all, we all have what we call flora and fauna on our skin. It's part of the skin's defense system. It means that if we're invaded by microbes from outside, they're set upon by our natural flora and fauna. But if the conditions on your skin are such that it favors a particular microbe like fungus, they will multiply and they will start to dominate, and that's when you're going to get something like athlete's foot. So the sort of environment we're talking about is with fungus, it tends to be a warm, damp environment. So if you've got naturally sweaty feet, or you exercise a lot and therefore your feet will sweat because of that, you're going to create the environment that fungus will love. And usually the early signs are between the toes, there's redness and that itchiness. It doesn't always present that way, and it isn't always between the toes, but that's a common starting point. But once it gets going, then it spreads all over the foot and you get this sort of red, almost like you've got red moccasins on your feet. So that's a telltale sign. So to prevent it from starting in the first place, a good thing to do is create an environment on your feet that fungus doesn't like. For example, if you dry between your toes, you are much less likely to get athlete's foot. If you've got sweaty feet naturally, use antiperspirant on them, and it works exactly the same way as it does anywhere else on your body. It will plug the sweat ducts, and as a result the environment won't be so damp. But if you have got athlete's foot and you want to get rid of it, there's a whole plethora of topical solutions and sprays that are antifungal. Don't forget to spray inside your footwear as well, especially if it's footwear that you use down in the gym, because otherwise the fungal spores can re-incubate there. But there's a lot of options. The one thing you shouldn't do is you shouldn't ignore it. The reason why you shouldn't ignore it is because if it's allowed to develop, it can be a springboard into fungal nails. This condition called onychomycosis. And unlike athlete's foot, fungal nail is really difficult to get rid of. And what I would say is, if you think you might have it, have a test to make sure. Treatments for fungal nail can be expensive, they can take a long time, and they're often ineffective. So you need to make sure that you have actually got fungal nail, because if you haven't got fungal nail, antifungals are not going to make a difference. So once you've had the test, which we can do here, and you'll find out within 10 minutes whether it's fungal or not, then we can discuss the best way forward. And usually the best way forward will either be an appropriate topical solution to put on top of the nail plate, but often there's a requirement to remove as much fungally infected nail as possible, or at least thin the nails down. Or it might be that you need the medication, and if you need the medication, there needs to be a blood test to check your liver function. Research would indicate that actually the best way forward is to do both. That way the fungus is basically at war on two fronts, from the inside with the medication, but also topically on the outside as well. So you need to have the test, and then you need to discuss with a podiatrist. So if you think you're struggling with an infection in the nail, but you're not sure what it is, then come and see us, we'll do the test, and we'll discuss the best way forward. Thank you.